Alright, what's going on, guys? Brain here for you guys. Another live stream. We are back with our week 1 recap. Everything now seems like it's working again. Or is it? We are. Okay, we fixed everything. Very nice. Claps for us. Uh, Only took us a couple tries to get everything working and operational. Don't really know what happened. But to cut things really short, I guess, week 1 was crazy. As you can see, our record is sitting at 6-9-1 because of the good old Colts and Texans game. They went ahead and tied, so I feel like that wasn't neither a win or loss on our part. It was a crazy game. There has been so many things that happened in week 1 that kind of blew my mind in a sense, and I think set up a little bit better understanding what's potentially happening in the future. Like I said, as we said, even in our predictions, a lot of these games could possibly go either way, and a lot of things are going to be figured out. Super Bomb, welcome to the stream, my man. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, it was craziness. We're going to get right into starting with our first prediction, which was the Bears versus 49ers, where we picked 49ers to win 21-14, and then they actually lost 19-10. So now there's two takeaways from this. One is I want to give credits due. Bears won this game. I don't think it was a perfect game from either side, but you can't say that 49ers lost this game because of the weather, because the Bears played in the same weather and they beat them, and technically the 49ers are supposed to be better than the Bears. So like, this is credit to the Bears, honestly. 49ers did not look good at all, obviously only putting up 10 points, giving up 19 to Chicago, which I'm still not sold on either of the teams. Like, I think 49ers really should take a look at Jimmy G, possibly. I never understood why they went with Trey Lance. I thought their offense was at least somewhat decent, so even if he wasn't that good, they can still put up like winnable numbers. But it wasn't really that case. So I really don't want to dig so much into this one. We obviously didn't predict it really that well. If anything, it was kind of flipped in a sense of the score, honestly, and kind of what I thought the 49ers were going to do, the Bears pretty much did to them. So yeah, that's honestly where y'all, when are you going to play Madden? We might not play Madden. What I've been thinking about possibly doing is condensing possibly the right side of the screen in like half. So like where it's like my camera, the season record, and then to the right of that would be like just a Madden. Like, I wouldn't be playing Madden, it would just be like a simulation thing. That's something I was possibly thinking of doing. But we're kind of still in the works for that. I want to kind of see how this aspect goes first, because this is something that I wanted to do for a while, like doing record predictions, everything like that. So if we kind of build a little fan base with NFL here, then we might transition into Madden as well. So this is kind of like the stepping stone into NFL and like football and everything like that. So this is kind of where we're starting. We're having our NHL stuff, and now we're kind of branching into, or we have, NHL stuff. Now we're kind of branching to NFL stuff. So I don't want to throw a bunch of stuff in here. I want to just take a little steps, and this is the like step that I want to take, I guess, more than Madden. We actually are downloading Madden like now. Well, after the stream, I'm gonna resume the install of it, so possibly soon. But I also think I might have to get the new Madden in order for it to even be relevant. But I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we're gonna get into our second game. The possibly other upset, was it Steelers and Bengals? What was the final score of that game? There it is, 23 to 20. Another one that was just, I mean, what, Burrow had four or what was it, 4 or 5 interceptions. I mean, it wasn't really a good outing from them. Steelers defense obviously looked really good. However, I know TJ Watt has a pectoral injury, so now that's still obviously going to come in play. I think the Bengals, if they didn't have all those turnovers, they probably would have done a lot better. But their offensive line still looks very rough. I know Steelers have a really good pass rush in general, but it's not looking good for the Bengals offensive line. Still being able to come back and have like a, I guess, decent offensive performance from the Bengals with all those turnovers is still pretty good, and that's one of the reasons why Joe Burrow is considered a pretty substantial talent in the NFL, which obviously makes sense. I mean, he's been doing really well. Um, but I mean, still just something very odd that the Steelers pulled out this win, especially like Bengals are supposed to Vikings destroy the Packers. We are going to be getting down to that as well. That's towards I guess later. We're just kind of working down the stretch of the list right here, like right in the right below. So we're just kind of working down there. Those were our predictions, and yeah, we're kind of looking into all that. But yeah, this game, I think, like I said, I think Bengals are still a pretty good, solid team. Steelers, I think, showed a lot of promise, but I still think I need to see a little bit more from the Steelers. Like, I don't know if this is just a like middle of the pack team where, hey, if you're weak on the offensive line, they're gonna beat you there, and then they just kind of need some help from their offense to make sure they can win. But I mean, like, you get all those turnovers, but now you lose T.J. Watt, which caused most of those turnovers. So now are the Steelers even worthy of a conversation as being a top team now? Like before it's like, okay, you shut down Burrow by pressuring him, everything like that, which is exactly what the Rams did in the Super Bowl against them. But now you lose that talent as far as Steelers wise. So now you can't even say like going forward they're going to put that same pressure on. So, I mean, still credit where it's due. I mean, they pull out this win. Good divisional win for them. Another wrong prediction from us, and then we get down to the what's the next one? Panthers versus Browns. The Baker revenge game, which was legit awful. I literally watched the replays of this. Both teams looked atrocious. I mean, towards the end, it was pretty a solid game like that. That was kind of worth like watching the dreadful highlights of the game, I guess, for that little ending there. But like, I at first I was I'm hoping Baker kind of finds his stuff because I really think he's a pretty solid quarterback. But this game did not show that at all. Like, I mean, I know both teams, 26-24. Still pretty solid like score, I guess, to like put up on each other, but like I think the Browns gave up a little too many points against the Panthers, and Panthers defense was supposed to be a little bit better, but yet they give up 26 points against the Browns. So like I'm not really sold on either of the teams. Like obviously Jacoby Brissett, he's doing what he can, and he starts off 1-0 for the Browns, which I mean that's really good, but as a Saints fan, like looking at Baker and stuff like that, like that's off. Like I'm not even terrified anymore. Like he's not like a threat to us right now. The team in general, I don't think they relied on McCaffrey as much. I think they thought, oh, revenge game. Baker has a chip on his shoulder. He's gonna start slinging this ball totally accurate and win them the game. That's never been what Baker has really been. He needs that support, and they have McCaffrey. They need to go back to that run game, and Baker can kind of slowly develop as a quarterback. I don't think he's that kind of guy to just take over a game. He needs that run game or a better receiver to take over something. But this was another prediction. I mean, like we were close on it. We were close to getting it. But obviously just not. Just a few seconds short with that field goal and stuff. But we'll get into the next one. Saints, Falcons. This game was crazy. It was 27-26, but we thought it was gonna be 31-21. I honestly thought Saints were gonna come out a little stronger. I know Falcons are always a wild card with the Saints. Like no matter how good their defense is, how good their offense is, it always just feels like, I mean, on both sides, like Saints offense, Falcons offense, Saints defense, Falcons defense, special teams, everything like that. It's always just off the table. You could have the top defense against their top offense, or like top offense against their worst defense, whatever. Somehow, whenever they face, it doesn't matter. It's like level playing field. Everyone becomes like 99 overall, and they all just mash together. Like that's always just kind of how it seems when they face each other. And this was, I think, totally proof. Like I don't think, like I think the Falcons. I guess we'll start with Falcons. One, they blew another lead, so like that's just hilarious. And two, like I think they're pretty good contenders. Like I never knew Patterson, Cordell Patterson. I didn't know he was like that solid as a running back, but they found somebody that's really good at running back. And Mariota, however you want to pronounce his name, good old Marcus Magic over there, almost creating the win, but he's fitting the Falcons pretty well with giving up a big lead. But I mean, they have a fun offense. It was kind of like, like this is a team that I think could potentially squeeze out a few wins, but they just can't blow leads like that. I think they have the right offense. Like they had the right offense to just bleed out the game. Like, and I feel like with Mariota being able to scramble and Patterson be able to hit the edge, and he's a really solid like cut and go inside the tackles, or like inside runs, outside runs, all that stuff, even as a receiver as well. But for whatever reason they couldn't run down the clock, which makes no sense. Like I said, you have all the components to run out a clock and they don't do it. But yeah, they just kind of hit a brick wall. And then we flip over to the Saints side of things, and like, first of all, I'm glad they pulled something out and were able to rally back. Michael Thomas is 100% back. He was he was going crazy, all cracked out of his mind after like every catch. He was like yelling and everything. I'm glad. I love that fire in him, and especially being like, years ago, being that top receiver. He was regarded as one of the best receivers in the league. When people talked about it, it was like, oh, it was DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Adams was kind of getting up there when he was like considered like top 5, I think, at the time. A Cup wasn't even like a mention yet. Diggs was you had Landry, you had some other like miscellaneous people you would throw in there, but Michael Thomas was like up there as like top receivers, but with the injury and stuff like that. But I think it's safe to say like Jameis Winston trusts him already, and I love that because Michael Thomas is a good guy to trust. It's not as though he's trusting a no-name receiver that's, yes, he might catch a ball, but like in a clutch moment you want like a named, almost like that big name player making that catch, and I'm glad he trusts Michael Thomas already. Great game there as well. I'm glad we at least got one prediction right, I guess. Not the score, but we get the win there. Eagles. So this game was, I think, it's a little higher scoring, the Eagles and Lions game, than I thought, but we were on the right track. I mean, we literally said that they were going to win with a field goal. Or by a field goal, I guess. So we were literally right there, just, a few more points added to them, like literally 2 touchdowns apiece. I really just didn't think both offenses were going to be that explosive. So I thought it was going to be a little lower scoring, but I knew it was going to be competitive. But a 38-35 game. I actually just I didn't watch the highlights, honestly. I'll be completely honest. But just like little takeaways from it, like, it's clear Lions have that fire to win again. And Eagles, like, I'm gonna actually just take a look. I hope all the stats and stuff. Actually, I don't know why they haven't. Like it doesn't even work anymore. It's so weird. It's really weird. Because they don't even show the what's it called, the stats anymore. Oh, there. They kind of. It kind of. I mean, like, just based off of it. I mean, like, I don't. Yeah, these aren't even right. They're not even right, man. And the NFL needs to fix their app, man. It doesn't even show the stats for the game. That's kind of bad. Kind of bad there. But I think it kind of shuts up a lot of people about if Detroit might be it might be good. The problem with this is definitely defense though. Like you know whenever you see the big kind of games like this is all defense. Your defense, both defenses need to make more stops. I mean, like it's one thing for your offense to be able to just drive down the field and score, but if you're letting that happen to the other team right away, you know, it obviously makes for good football, but like as a team, you're gonna need to make some stops in order to win some games. And from looks just at the score wise, that wasn't present at all. Like I mean, you give up anytime you give up 35 points, you almost have to like shrug your shoulders and be like, what else can our offense do? Can like or what like how many more points do we need to be able to sustain this? Like you have to get a little bit better defensively sound to be able to you know close out this game a little earlier rather than holding it to a 38-35 game. But we pretty much were spot on with that. Just like I said, more touchdowns. Next, one of the most disappointing games I think I've seen. Colts and Texans literally tying 20-20. I gave myself just like a 1 point because obviously it's a tie. Like no one won or lost, so you know I didn't win nor lose. But for them, I mean Colts make a comeback, so I mean that's a little bit better. But the fact that they tied, I always hated ties. I don't know, like I guess maybe because it's like so rare NFL, it's never like approached about the subject of like a regular season needs to have a way to win, you know, in overtime, you know, and whether even if it's like okay in overtime, whatever, it's still a tie. Make it kind of like an NHL situation where hey, you know what, you kick, it's a field goal competition. Maybe you kick it. Maybe you like start at like the 5-yard line. You have to do like 2-point conversions, something like that, almost like a shootout, like in the NHL. And if the other team wins, they get a basic win for it, and the other team loses, they have like a tie at the end of their mark. So like it's not a loss, but it's better than a loss. So if it ends up coming down to a tie or like a record tie later in the season, that could be a difference maker in something. That's honestly what I mean. It wouldn't take much else to do. You play a whole another overtime period. No one wins, no one loses. You know, so you go into a shootout of some sort, whether it's kicking or throwing, rushing, whatever it may be. But for them to tie, I think is just unnecessary. Biggest kind of takeaways of here is like Colts offense needs to be more explosive first of all, and I kind of like I don't know if the Texans are supposed to be good or not, like, or the Colts just like this bad and like 20-20, it's like not enough offense, but also like a little too much defense in a sense. Like I don't know. I feel like Texans, they shouldn't have been able to stop the Colts offense to only 20 points. Like I thought their Colts running game themselves should be able to get two touchdowns, and then the Colts, like Matt Ryan, should be able to at least pass for 2 touchdowns. Like he is like literally just like a gunslinger, man. Like that's like his whole thing. I think that's why Colts got him. But yet, you know, it's 20-20. They tie. You know, I think this was just a very disappointing game all around. Heading right down south to Miami. Dolphins, Patriots, pretty, what we guess? We thought it was going to be 30-21, and it was 20-7. Another game that kind of took me off guard as well. Like, I mean, I think I guessed it right where I thought Dolphins were going to play pretty great football, honestly. Not like, I guess, amazingly great, but at the same time, like, you won you won 20-7, so your defense was good enough, or really good enough, and then your offense, yes, they looked a little rough, but they still scored enough to win the game, and I think that's all that matters. Week 1, I think, is always like a bumpy road, so as long as you, I guess, get the win, you can focus on the little things afterwards, to kind of perfect going into week 2. But if you're losing like the Patriots, like what are you guys doing? Like, you're like, Mac Jones looked terrible. Like, it was bad. It really was. Like, I don't even know what to really even like say about it. Like, it's just like, you look at it and it's just like what is happening? Like, they're not running the ball well, they're not passing it. Like, Patriots, like, that's like, this whole week is probably just gonna be offensive drills, like, do that, like, make the throw, run the ball well, like they have to figure it out quick, otherwise their season's gonna spiral out of control, because if they're going in every week and all they're doing is putting up 7 points, like, good for them, consistency, but I'm glad Patriots are finally like suffering in a sense after all the years of like glory, but at the same time it's kind of embarrassing that this is how far they fell, because last year they weren't even this bad, and that's kind of embarrassing. That, I mean, I know normally they struggle down in Miami, but this was not that was not it at all. Transitioning to Ravens, where we thought they were going to win 35-10. Instead, where are they? Where are the Ravens? Oh, there they are. 24-9. So, again, like a little over a touchdown away from that one, as well as like 1 point away from the Jets. So pretty darn close on prediction there. I did kind of predict it was going to be a blowout from the Ravens, and that's very true. Ravens, I mean, he's Lamar Jackson. I think the biggest thing was like, oh, is he going to play well for the Ravens since he denied a contract, everything like that. Obviously they do. I'm glad this wasn't a game where it's like Jets aren't supposed to be good and then Ravens let them in the game and it's this huge thing. I'm glad that didn't happen. This game is how it should have been. Ravens winning by, I mean, 13 points doesn't seem like a lot, but at the same time, like, they won and they knew it, and that was it. Like, 24-9 is pretty much saying, like, we blew you out, but you got like a couple little points here. Like, if this was like 35 or something to, like, they get into some double digits and stuff, then you can kind of say, okay, well, Jets offense has a little something, but because they held them underneath 10 points, which I think is literally 2 drives, you get a touchdown and you get a field goal. Like, that's kind of like where I'm at with that, is like, you hold them to 9 points, like, you shut down their offense. That's my takeaways. Like, the way I see it is a team should at least score on their opening possession, because those are all scripted plays, and then their opening possession at the second half, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, in either of those orders. That's how it always should be. That's like, if your team only scores twice, those should be it. And then good teams score a couple times in between there, and great teams not only score other, like, more times throughout between those 2 periods, but also create other turnovers to give themselves more chances or deny other teams of their chances. That's kind of my philosophy with it, and this is clear that Ravens just did that. They just shut down Jets. Not really much else to take away there. Next team is the Commanders against Jaguars. I mean, like I said in my prediction, like, I don't even care. Neither of these teams. I mean, Commanders might make playoffs because they're in a terrible division, but like, I don't really care about either of those teams. But yeah, like, good for them. Carson Wentz, good for you, putting up a W. But yeah, I still think Jaguars shouldn't have been able to score 22 points. Like, it shouldn't have been like this close. I know we said the Commanders were going to win, what was it, 17-10? So, I mean, what, that's 7-point difference. I mean, literally, again, right on the board with that. Just like, 11 points short on each side there, but kind of same story. It is just like, I thought the Commanders were just going to be a little bit better sound, like defensively and offensively. So, and I feel like that kind of reflected there. Next game, like I said, it's not even worth really talking about much on that. This is a game that I was surprised with. Cardinals and Chiefs. So I thought Chiefs were going to kind of lose a little step with missing Tyreek Hill. Almost feels the opposite. Like, Chiefs were almost like more explosive without Tyreek Hill, which was crazy. Cardinals looked like complete garbage. I did kind of forget that they were missing a few other defensive players, but I don't think that even would matter because, Chiefs have been, they've been scheming things so well and being able to get the ball out very quick and accurately, where, blowing them out 44-21 is kind of just a joke. Like, Cardinals, they're already collapsing. They don't even need to wait till mid-season to collapse because they're already doing it. And Chiefs are already on fire, which is kind of crazy. Mahomes with 5 touchdown passes. And, like, I think being able to hold Cardinals to 21 points, I mean, without DeAndre Hopkins, maybe, maybe, like, one of those touchdowns, maybe you want to, like, kind of dive into and be like, maybe we shouldn't have allowed that many points on them. But Chiefs were always a big philosophy on just being able to bomb the ball and, score a lot of points and outscore your opponent. So, I mean, if that's what they're kind of going for this year again, maybe it'll work, Maybe they'll find that to get their way to the Super Bowl. We'll wait and see on that. Next is Packers and Vikings. Oh boy, this was an interesting one, honestly. 23-7. We thought it was gonna be 35-21, and like take everything I said and just forget it. I mean, we were kind of right on what the Vikings were gonna do. And offensively, I mean, it's all Justin Jefferson, and I feel like that's always what it's kind of been. But here's the thing. I think the Vikings played really good, but the Packers, I think, are in deep trouble. Like, before you saw, like, okay, well, they still have Rodgers, and they had Devontae Adams, and you had other people on the other defense and stuff like that. This wasn't the story. That was last year. That was last year, week 1, where you said, oh, but they have all these pieces. But this year, they don't have those pieces. They're injured, or they're gone. And you lost 23-7 against a divisional team, and you looked terrible. And like, watching it, it was just like Rodgers is throwing it off the hands, caught, gets hit, drops the ball. It looked like, literally, like, I wouldn't even say rookies. These are like pee-wee football players running out there and trying to catch the ball, and it's too hard for them, so they drop it or it bounces off their hands, like, because they can't actually absorb the catch because they're too weak for it. That's honestly what it felt like. Like, I almost felt bad for Rodgers in a sense, because it's like, what else are you supposed to do? Obviously, I'm not saying Rodgers had the amazing game. He had no flaws for him either. But, like, I feel like there's a point where, like, and it maybe even happened in the first quarter, where there's a point where you kind of, like, I would assume, are just like, what else am I supposed to do? Like, every time I throw it, they can't catch it. And I try giving them a second chance, and they still can't catch it. Like, our run game is getting shut down. What are we supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I'm going to try forcing it a few times, and then the one time he gets picked by Harrison, or what is it, Harrison Smith, or, yeah, I think it's, Harrison, like, over the middle of the safety or whatever from the Vikings. But, like, I don't even really put that on him, because what else are you supposed to do? You have to take your shots, you have to do what you have to do, and, like, and that's it. Like, I mean, it was kind of it was very rough for the Packers. Again, week 2 could be different, but I don't know who they're playing next week, but I almost might just go against the Packers again, because like, you might be able to structure maybe one, I would say maybe another like 10 points out of this team, but depending on who do they play next week? Week 2. Come on and load. Packers, where are you? They play the Bears. So, like, Rodgers, if you really own the Bears, like, let's see it. I think I might actually pick the Packers, honestly, now that I see them, because I still am not sold on the Bears. If Bears beat the Packers and like do it in a crazy sense, then I might switch my tone on it. But we'll see. I think that's a game that might go either way, honestly. But obviously we'll touch on that later in the week about that. Or we might even do that tomorrow potentially. But that's enough for the Packers. Titans and Giants game, another game that just kind of blew my mind. The Giants win 21-20. They go for it for 2, and they get it. And then Titans miss a field goal to win it. Yeah, the Titans, like, what do you guys do? Like, how do you lose to the Giants, dude? Like, you're supposed to be this top team. Like, it's not as though the Titans are like this middle of the road team that doesn't make the playoffs, and it's like, oh, it's a coin flip of who's gonna win this game. No, you're supposed to win this game. This was almost kind of like the Bears and 49ers game, where it's like, what just happened? You're supposed to be good, and you lose to this caliber of a team. Now, I know the saying, it's any given Sunday, like, meaning anything can happen, whether it's a play, one play could change the game, one throw, like, whatever, any given play every given Sunday, anything can happen. But the standings also don't lie. Like, you don't really necessarily see Tom Brady and like the Bucks losing to like the Jaguars or something. Like, you expect that out of, like, for instance, last year with the Colts, where they lose to the Jaguars last game of the season and they ruin their chance to make the playoffs. You expect that from that kind of team, because they're not a high caliber team to be a playoff team in a sense. But when you look at the Titans, you expect them to make the playoffs and not lose to a team like the Giants. On the flip side of this, Giants, I love it. Like, being able to literally, like, not even second guess, just, no, 2 points, get out there and win this freaking game. It's amazing. It's like, I always like that those kind of coaches that have that trust in their players and able to go for it. Saquon looked good. I know that was a big question for me. Like, I was kind of sick of hearing about him, and then he was either injured or he wasn't even like that. Like, yes, he's good, and I'm not taking that away from him, but it's almost like every time they say, like, it happened with Ezekiel Elliott. His first few years, they were like, oh, he's the next Emmitt Smith. Oh, Barry Sanders, the next Walter Payton is in our presence. And then he goes downhill, and then, like, now he's like an okay running back, whatever. They were saying the same thing with Saquon. It's like, stop. Like, he's good. Yes, he's doing really good. And if he continues this for like 10 years, yes, he might be considered one of those kind of players. But until he hits that 10-year mark, and he's done this for multiple years, stop calling him the greatest that's ever touched the football field, because he hasn't proven it yet. He might be back, though. I know he kind of went off on that, but Saquon might be back for the Giants, and that's good. Daniel Jones also, he looked like he had some confidence in him, which I'm glad, because he looked like a scared goat out there, and not like greatest of all time, like, I guess, I don't even know what the other acronym would be for that, but he looked like a deer. It's deer in the headlight, like, oh my god, the defense is going to kill me. And, I mean, instead, they pull out a win. So, I mean, good for them. Next, Raiders and Chargers. Game that came down closer than it was. I saw the Chargers were beating them pretty bad, and then Raiders kind of made a little comeback there. 24-19. We thought Raiders were going to win 31-28. So about 7 points difference, and then obviously a flip score as well. I thought this game could go either way, and I felt like that's kind of what happened with it. Devontae Adams looked good for the Raiders. Derek Carr already kind of trusts him a lot. Chargers offense looked really good though as well, and I think being able to kind of maintain that, they didn't blow a lead, so that's also good because normally Chargers love to do that. But I think this one kind of proved a lot. Like Raiders are still kind of just like an okay team. Like I felt like adding Devontae Adams, you should be able to throw a lot more plays and get a lot more big plays, but it almost felt like they still couldn't hit that home run kind of aspect to their team. Like if everyone's covering Devontae, you have Winfro or whatever his name is to go ahead and get open. Then like I felt like you should be able to open the field up more rather than like close it in, and I felt like they haven't like opened up their offense yet. Chargers on the other hand, I felt like they played very well. I'm not even mad that they we don't win that, because I felt like that was a coin flip of who could win that one, but Chargers I guess won that one pretty decently. Next is Buccaneers and Cowboys, a game that I thought was going to be a lot better. Obviously Dak goes down I think later in the game with his hand that he might be missing, I think like a month or so, five games or something like that. But to only get 3 points, I mean, it wasn't like that they were doing that well anyway. Tom Brady's obviously back, winning 19-3, and we thought it was just gonna be a lot more of an explosive game, but it was very calm, and maybe that's all they need. Maybe that's Tom Brady. He's just like, you know what? He doesn't need to throw 500 touchdowns anymore. Like, he's got those stats already. Let's just win football games. Let's just tone it down for a minute. Play clean football. Defense will give you guys rest. Whether we punt, whatever, give you guys rest. Shut them down. And let's go on with our day. Like, let's win the football game, get out, and have a good time. And winning 19-3 is definitely one that not really much takeaways there. I mean, other than Dallas just lays an egg and loses their quarterback in the process. Like, that's probably the worst kind of week one you ever would want, is literally losing by how bad you did, only scoring 3 points. Like, it's not as though you scored a touchdown, so now you have to go like right back to the drawing board, and the person that's supposed to lead that drawing board or help in that drawing board is now injured, being Dak. Like that's like the worst week one I think possible for the Cowboys. But we'll see. I don't even know who they're. I think, is it Cam Newton that's their backup? I have no idea. But they definitely are going to have to look into it. Maybe they'll get Garoppolo, but I think 49ers still need Garoppolo. But we'll see. And finally, Monday Night Football. Literally watched this game. This was the only game I was actually able to watch. Everything else I had to watch like recaps on. This was embarrassing, dude. This was the worst. Like, it was awful. Like, 17-16, it wasn't even that close. Seahawks started off like, I think it was like 17-13 at the half. Literally all that was Broncos. They went for it on fourth. Well, technically, if they would have kicked both field goals, they would have won the game in a sense. But like, Russell Wilson's awful in the red zone. Like, he couldn't get anything done. Him and Geno Smith looked like they had the same exact quarterback. They'd lob the ball up way too high. They'd run around in a circle, then chuck the ball in the air and hope for the best. Somehow someone would catch it, or sometimes it would just fall incomplete, and it's like, okay, that happened. But it was an awful game, and like, I'm good for Seahawks to being able to, prove that, hey, look, maybe not paying Wilson this much money might pay off for us, because we're in a rough division right now, like between the 49ers, which lost, the Cardinals, which lost, and the Rams, which lost, and all pretty badly. And the Seahawks are the only ones that won against a team that people thought, oh, Broncos are going to ride out in the sunset, win a Super Bowl. And, you know, because they have Wilson guarding them. And now Broncos defense looked awful. Nick Chubb only got I think 2 sacks or something, or 2 big plays at least. I know he got 1 sack, but he was almost non-existent the whole game. It was bad, man. It looked like, I mean, Geno Smith looked like Russell Wilson in the offense. It looked like the offense looked the same, honestly. There was points where I was watching Geno Smith run around and make plays. I'm like, Wilson would make that exact same play, and if you would have told me Wilson just changed his number, I would have believed you, because it looked exactly the same. Broncos, on the other hand, their offense looked exactly the same as Seattle's offense, only for whatever reason, they couldn't make any plays. Now, is this Seattle's defense that's really good? I don't know, but Broncos, they looked terrible. At least Seattle, their defense looked pretty solid. Broncos did not look that good, and, being able to, I don't know if it's the Broncos defense is bad and Seattle's a really good offense, or, their defense is good, but Seattle's just a better offense. I don't know. Broncos just did not look good at all, and I think that's the team that a lot of people are focusing on. Not a lot of people are looking at Seattle, because it's they shouldn't be a competitor, but yet they beat the Broncos, so now people are like, oh my goodness, what happened? And I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. That is going to recap it. If you guys could hit that like button, comment below what else you guys want from this, I guess, not really a podcast, but this little live stream, I guess. No, I'm still kind of figuring out a little bit. But if you guys have any suggestions of how to kind of maneuver stuff, what else you guys want to see, all that good stuff, let me know in the comments so I can bring a better experience to you guys. And that's going to wrap it up. If you guys are new to my channel, please do hit that subscribe button as well. And I'll see you guys all next time.